Out of the 5,582 Mustang Bullets produced in 2001, there were 3,041 made in dark Highland green. And of those, the breakdown continues with the only option that was offered on the Bullitt, not options such as color or export spec or anything like that, but the actual options you could order a Bullitt with or without was the Mach 460 audio system. And out of the dark Highland green cars, out of those 3041 that were built in dark Highland green, 2,873 had the Mach audio system, and this is one of those cars. From the looks of it, this was a pretty nice car. It only had 56,000 miles on it. Unfortunately, it had some rear quarter panel damage, and they were parting the car out, so sad to see. It looks like it has an aftermarket pinstripe going along the top of the car all the way on each side, and in this picture it has a 99 to 2001 Mustang Cobra hood, or most likely it's a 2003 to 2004 Mustang V6 hood, which was the same hood as the 99 to 01 Cobra. I believe the only difference was the vent was not perforated on the top of the hood like the Cobra was, but basically it's the same hood. So really too bad to see a car like this with such low mileage that looked pretty good other than that. We'll look at some of the details here. Looks like the wheels have been taken off and the control arms are actually gone. Now that could be something that's already been parted out on the car. Maybe it was something from the accident that was damaged, but the other side doesn't look too bad. The car is not in perfect shape. Parts of the pinstriping are somewhat missing, so could be wear and tear. But if you look at the back of the car, you can see where the damage is on that quarter panel. Now, quarter panel damage isn't the easiest thing to fix. The quarter panels on these cars aren't like the front fenders where you can unbolt them, do a little bit of work, and bolt a new one on. They are spot welded in from the factory. And so when a car is hit like this, usually it will total the car out with how much it would cost to repair it. You can see on this side it's pretty messed up where the tail light is. It's caved in pretty good, and the trunk lid's damaged as well. But there is a guy I really like to watch. His name is Fix It Alex, and you'll see how it's spelled up there on the top. This is his Instagram, and he has some YouTube videos too. And he took this Mustang Celine that was smashed up pretty bad in the quarter, and he replaced the entire quarter panel, and he did a fantastic job. It shows you can do it if you really put your mind to it. Now, this was a lot of work. His car looks beautiful now, but he really had to get in there and cut things off. He had to cut the quarter panel off, and when you get into the back of the car, there are a lot of places that are intertwined, like the drip rails for the trunk, where the quarter panel meets, where it meets the lower body. I mean, see, there's just a lot of places in here where it's all spot welded together and folded and everything. So it really is a lot of work, but you can see how he's replaced the entire quarter panel here, and he did a fantastic job, and he has a very beautiful car to show for it. So in his case, this car was worth saving because it was a Celine Mustang and it was a really neat car, and he's turned it into something absolutely beautiful. So if you put your mind to it, you really can do something like this, and this Bullitt could have been saved like this. Now, if you're really good at body work, this would have been easy to do, but most people have never attempted anything like this before, so it definitely shows how hard it can be. Now, I do even have a personal experience with something similar. This is my brother's Mustang, and we were driving this together. I was in the front seat when we got T-boned by a young girl who had her license for 10 days, and it destroyed the side of this car like the Titanic. It just went all the way down. And so, we took the door off and worked on it, and you could see the quarter panel was jacked up pretty bad. But we decided to fix the car. My brother mostly, he really wanted to save the car, and he took it in and had a shop cut the quarter panel off and do all the body work. And so, it was savable, and if this V6 Mustang was savable, that Bullitt wasn't as bad as this was. And so it's really sad. If you really, really love these cars, then I think they're worth saving, especially a real Bullitt like the one we're talking about here. Now you can see it looks like a dealership sticker on the bumper. The Bullitt badge is there. The seats were actually in really good shape. Remember, it only had 56,000 miles on it, so very low mileage car. I mean, a lot of these have a lot higher mileage than this now. Back seats look good, so it was a pretty cool car, and I think it probably was worth saving to the right person. I know it's very difficult, but you know, they were selling all the parts off it. Here's the Bullitt specific brakes. They're the same as the Mach 1 and the Cobra of that generation. And then here's, you know, parts coming off and starting to sell the car. It looked like even an extra seat cover, like the leather cover for the seat. So really too bad to see. But anyway, just wanted to document the car as being parted out and show what had happened to it. I think in the future we'll look back at this and think, you know, I wish I would have saved a picture of that car. You know, when you talk to people who say, oh, I knew a guy back in the 70s who parted out a Boss 429 or a Mach 1, even some of the original Shelby GT350s and GT500s were parted out and sold. You know, I talked to a really cool guy who bought one out of a wrecking yard. It was a 65 original GT350, and there was nothing really left of it, and he saved it. As a matter of fact, I'll just insert that little section of the story from that trip I went on with my friend when we saw the car, because it's really cool and worth watching again. Well, that I was really interested in, and it's this 65 or 66 original Shelby GT350. Now this car has a pretty cool history. I was looking at those tow bars, and the owner came up and said, what are you doing, trying to look at my oil pan or something? And I showed him, there's a supercharger right there on it. And I said, no, I was just looking at these tow hooks on the front. And he started to lead into the story about this car. And I asked him how long he had had it. And he said he bought it in 1967. So it would have been a year or two old. And he said he found it in a scrapyard. And he was actually there to get the short block and the transmission out of the car, and they told him to go ahead and just take the whole thing. So I thought that was incredible. It was so cool to talk to someone who's had this car that long, and he's done a ton of racing in this car. He said it didn't have the trunk, it didn't have the door, everything was stripped off of it. When he saw it and he saw that it was a Shelby, he was really excited, like any young person would be finding a cool car in a junkyard. And he put it back together, and he did a great job. And this car is very original. You can see the patina, you can see it's not in Concord perfect shape, and that's really cool. It's original. It's neat to see it this way. Maybe it's had, you know, a repaint in one time of its life, you never know, but this car has been on a lot of tracks. That's him standing there, and he said he's towed it with these hooks before quite a few times, and it was just so cool to see this car. So I really enjoyed talking to him. I really enjoyed his story. I really thought it was neat that this car was being parted out and scrapped, and he saved it. Here's the Shelby number and the fender there. And it's just really cool to see like that. And of course, like I said, it had the supercharger on it, which is a period correct supercharger. That's what the older Shelbys had on them if they got that supercharger. And I don't think it came that way, but he probably added it. But that's pretty cool. Wood steering wheel, those are worth a lot. You know, it's just so cool to see these Krager wheels. You can see they're kind of corroded or worn, which is fine. It's how they would look after so many years. And he said it was back east that he picked up the car, so that's pretty cool to see. Racing stickers and stuff, so really cool to see an original Shelby that needed some love and attention, and it was taken and used. So awesome. Loved that story. Loved talking to him. Even signed by Carroll Shelby there on the dash. So really, really neat story. I was really grateful I got to talk. So anyway, that's just a little bit about this Bullitt Mustang and how I feel about the car. I think it could have been fixed. I think it's a lot of work, but it would have been nice to see it saved, especially as a lower mileage one out there. And that's just the way it is. I understand people don't have money to fix things or don't want to put the effort in, and that's the way it goes. But I think one day people will really wish this car had been saved. I already wish it would have been saved, but it was parted out. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more Mustang content.